Hi, I'm here with Claybourne Elder, who stars as the main character, Ollie, in Moisés Kaufman adaptation of One Arm, which opened up today in New York City. And congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this was such a beautiful play, and I'm sure everybody has been asking you. First of all, the most immediate question is, what is it like playing someone with one arm?
You know, it's a challenge, and to start preparing for it and to get used to just having one arm, I spent a lot of time just using my left hand because I'm right-handed. I'm not very good at all with my left hand. So I knew that I needed to get better at manipulating things with my left hand. So I spent a lot of time at home feeding my dog with my left hand and making meals and things just with my left hand so I could get used to it. And we were doing a reading of the show last year, and Moisés one day said, "Does anybody have a belt?" And one guy said, "Yeah, I have a belt on," and he took the belt off, and Moisés came up to me and wrapped the belt around my arm to strap it down to my side and strapped me down, and that's the way it stuck. And now even today they've kind of built an apparatus that's kind of reminiscent of that belt they used.
Since the reading, I know Moisés, this has been a tremendous work on the part of Moisés, and that he's been working on it for 10 years.
Yes.
And since the reading, how has the play evolved?
Immensely, even from our first preview performance to tonight, our opening, has been a huge change. Scenes have been cut, scenes have been changed and added. The screenplay itself is so long that Moisés decided he really wanted to kind of carve it down to the most poignant and the strongest storytelling 90 minutes of the screenplay. And so in doing so, there's had to be a lot of testing, and we've tried out scenes that have been cut, and we've had scenes that have been added all the time and changed all the time to, not rewritten, but just cut things and change things to manipulate them. And I think he's done an amazing job at really telling the heart of the story based on the short story that Tennessee originally wrote in 1942.
When you read the role originally, what drew you to the character?
I would say Moisés sent me the short story. About a year ago, and I read the short story and was immediately fascinated by the complexity of this person, and in the end, the complexity of his redemption and how he felt like he could be forgiven, and so in exploring going from the short story, then going into the screenplay. The screenplay has so many different versions, and it's so exciting to experience all of the different things and then take them and keep them in my memory, but then use what we have in our script for him. He's a little bit of Blanche, and he's a little bit of Stanley, he's a little bit of everybody, he's a little bit of Brick. A lot of Tennessee Williams characters you can see in Ollie, and it's kind of the most raw Tennessee Williams gets. It's like all of the things that Tennessee Williams kind of kept a cap on in these other plays, he blows the top off in this screenplay.
As Moisés had pointed out, that Tennessee Williams began writing this as a young man.
He did.
And then returned to it late in age.
Yes.
And why do you think that was the case? How do you personally feel about that? Do you think there's some maybe autobiographical elements in your character? No.
In the early 40s, Tennessee Williams went to Mexico to do some writing. And when he came back across customs, Customs went through all his things, and he had a pile of manuscripts, and in the manuscripts was the short story of One Arm. And after he went through Customs, he couldn't find the manuscript, and he thought that the Customs officials had taken it because of the subject matter. And he writes in a letter that we found about how angry he yelled at the Customs officials that existence without this manuscript was terrible, and that it was his life's work. And he was making additions and changes to the screenplay in 1982, the year before he died. That's 40 years of writing this story. And there are very clearly parts of this story that you can say, that character could be Tennessee Williams, and that character could be Tennessee Williams a little bit. And I think that there are parts of it that are very autobiographical. My character, I don't know that necessarily is, but there are lots of people that speculate that it's based on a person that he knew and he met. And there are even some letters that he wrote back and forth with friends about a one-armed prostitute that he had met in New Orleans in the 1940s. And so he clearly had this concept of mutilation and how we could be transcended. And here's Moisés Kaufman.
We're gonna do this together.
All right.
Okay.
I'm already halfway done, so you're gonna have to catch up to me.
Okay, I'm catching up to him.
Catch up.
Whatever he said, it's all true.
Probably.
Now next.
Question.
Yeah. Well, you did a spectacular job, and
Isn't he? He's magnificent, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's all him.
he is. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
I've been working in the theater for 20-some years, and I've never met anyone who has such raw talent, such incredible intellect, and such incredible instrument, and he can do it. And it's been a joy. It's been a real joy. And we've discovered the play together because the way I work is that I come into rehearsal with a bunch of questions, but with no set answers. And we had to kind of really look at this and say, what is it and how do we get to it? How do we get to the heart of it? Peter Brooks says a wonderful thing. He says, we have to go each day into rehearsal believing that the play has eluded us.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I think that that's how I feel most of the time. The sense of the play has eluded me. And a real responsibility to the writer to say, what did you mean? And what were you talking about? And why did you write this? And if you have the right amount of humility and the right amount of curiosity, perhaps if the gods are smiling upon you, you can make a little dent on the big, especially with somebody like Tennessee Williams, who is a genius, and you know that he's right, and whatever you do is going to be wrong until you find it. And then when you find it, you're like, oh, that's what he meant.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what I feel is what our process has been like. Doing a lot of things that were very wrong. And
To find out what was right.
To find out what was
Yeah.
right. Which has been a really rich, and I'm afraid to use this word because it's very corny, but ennobling process. It has ennobled us by allowing us to touch or try to understand a mind and a spirit that is so much greater than ours.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we're so fortunate that on the 100th anniversary of Tennessee Williams that you were able to bring this undiscovered work to the public, because it was really exquisite.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.